Welcome back to the NHL '08 Dynasty Mode with the Carolina Hurricanes. At the end of the last episode, we noticed that there is a franchise defenseman in the draft this year going first overall. Tyler Grant, a defender from Slovenia. And what are we playing? What are we doing this for if not to make moves, if not to go for something? We've been having really bad cap space issues this whole year, this past season, and this might be extremely controversial. But like I said, what are we doing this dynasty mode for if not to have a little fun and spice it up a little bit? I know we just signed Andre Mazzaros, and he's 90 overall at 25 years old. But he's getting paid more than Eric Stahl is. And Eric Stahl is a 96 now. If we could replace him with a franchise defenseman, Tyler Grant is going to get just as good as him probably by the end of his rookie deal. But he's also going to be signed onto a rookie deal. So we're going to be saving like $6.5 million if we did trade Andre Mazzaros for the first overall pick. So let's look at defense. Far and away our best defender. But we have other good defenders. Keith Ballard and Yoni Pitkinen could play on the top line. Then you could have Lassoff and Gleason, or depending on how good Tyler Grant actually is, maybe he can just slot right into the second pair. But if anything, he could definitely play on the third pair. And let's look at all the potentials we have here. Let's look at and down here in the AHL, we actually have some guys with some potential who are starting to get a little bit better. Kirk Flaherty, he's an 86 potential, 22 years old, and he's 76 overall. He could be our backup defender in the NHL this season. Here's Zinoviev. He was our backup defender this season. We could have Zinoviev and Flaherty who could both play on the third pair probably this upcoming season. I think we need to free up this $7 million in cap space. So back in this universe, there was no draft lottery. The worst team got the first overall pick, and that is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Thank goodness they weren't tied, and then I would have had to guess which pick was actually going to be last. I'm going to try it straight up. Andre Mazzaros, a 90 overall stud, probably also a franchise defenseman, for the Toronto Maple Leafs' first overall pick to turn into Tyler Grant, the franchise defenseman. Will it go through? It did go through. It did go through. Andre Mazzaros has been traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Carolina Hurricanes have the first overall pick. Oh, I'm excited about the draft now because along with the first overall pick, we still have our top 10 pick from just us being garbage this past season. Tyler Grant's scouting profile. He's got an 8.5 green defensive awareness, 8 slap shot power, 8 passing, 8.5 green offensive awareness. His deflections are decent for some reason. Look at that. The email has already gone through. The blockbuster trade, Andre Mazzaros to the Toronto Maple Leafs for their first overall draft pick. And probably for the first time in this dynasty mode, I am excited for the NHL draft. Let's get into it. There it is, the Carolina Hurricanes with the first overall pick in the 2011 draft, and we also have the 8th overall pick. We are here to make a splash. And with the first overall pick in the 2011 NHL Draft, the Carolina Hurricanes select Tyler Grant, defenseman from Slovenia. He's 72 overall. Okay, so he's not immediately NHL ready, but probably next season. Maybe he'll jump in the offseason. But here we go with the 8th overall pick in the 2011 NHL Draft. We have 3 guys here who say that they're top 10. This first guy is 20 years old. So I'm thinking it's got to automatically be one of these younger guys. There's a guy that's a 5'9 defenseman, or we could take a 6'7 left wing. The big left winger looks like he's more of a playmaker, which could be good. We have guys who can score goals. Wade Celios needs a bona fide playmaker with him, but he's a defender. Why is his puck control so good? His durability is actually really bad, so I don't think that that's a go. With the 8th overall pick in the NHL draft, the Carolina Hurricanes are going to select Anthony Langenbrunner, a 6'7", 200-pound, 18-year-old left wing from Canada. The Oilers selected this guy, Yuri Fedorov. He's 76 overall, the best player, it looks like, overall-wise, to come out. I was expecting Tyler Grant to be a little bit higher in overall, but with that franchise potential, we know that he's going to jump. The Carolina Hurricanes' second-round pick, we're going to take center Xavier Boyer. He's got high league interest, and we've got him fully scouted. So, all the guys that were up here that were high league interest had a couple either yellow or red scouting. So we've got this guy pretty much fully scouted, and there's a high league interest. So Xavier Boyer with the second-round pick in the 2011 draft. Marinenko has a green 5 for his durability, so that's not going to cut it. Can't have no bitches on this team. So we're taking the big defenseman. Oh, man. Alright, the moment of truth. It's time to see how good Tyler Grant is. Let's see. Tyler Grant, 72 overall. What? What? We got fleas. We're cooked. I'm cooked. Oh, I'm so chalked. Oh no. Oh, I'm going to be fired. Oh, I'm going to be fired. I'm the worst GM of all time. I'm the worst general manager of all time. Oh my god. I just traded Andre Mazzaros for a fucking bag of pucks, dude. After giving away Dustin Penner for nothing. So after the Tyler Grant meltdown, I must have rolled over onto my recording capture card because I lost like literally over an hour of the footage, the whole free agency and everything. But we're here at the next season, and I vaguely remember this in these old games having these types of issues. Dion Phaneuf, Henrik Sedin, and Joni Pikkinen, and plus all these other 80 overall guys that are young guys with high potential, they're not signed to teams because nobody has salary cap space. And, you know, here I am, like, playing these old-ass games that are 15 years old and getting mad that they're not working correctly. We're basically, I guess the KHL is getting a lot of good players this season because, yeah, these guys right here aren't signed to an NHL team, and the season is already here. So we are going to look at what our team looks like. I'm not even sure how much footage I actually lost. But yeah, so basically the big drama of everything was Joni Pikkinen and Keith Ballard both wanted $8 million. I wasn't able to sign both of them. I was actually mainly targeting Joni Pikkinen, but since we did so bad in the last season, he didn't want to sign and I was having to overpay him. Keith Ballard actually took a better deal. I offered Joni Pikkinen more money than I offered Keith Ballard, and Keith Ballard was actually the one to accept. But yeah, I mean, you can see these teams just don't have the cap space to sign these guys. Looking at our defensemen, we have Keith Ballard, Matt Lassoff, Tim Gleason, James Wisniewski. Brett Carson is going to be our backup, and we have these two guys, Kirk Flaherty and Leo Zinejev. Leo Zinejev was our backup injury depth for us last season, but this season, since the game pretty much fleeced me with Tyler Grant being an absolute bust, we signed some of these guys to 6-year deals, and their potentials are 91 and 86. You saw it in the AHL as well. This Dakiv guy right here, he's got 93 potential, and we signed him to a 6-year contract for really cheap. So if the game is going to cheese us with giving us Tyler Grant, just an absolute plug bender, saying he was a franchise player, then we're going to cheese the system a little bit and sign some of these young guys to 6-year deals. So these two prospect defensemen will be in the NHL on the third pairing this season. Kirk Flaherty, Leo Zinejev, Maybe they can grow for us and become two studs of the future. Looking at our forwards, we've had a lot of growth. Jordan Staal has jumped up to a 93 overall. Andrew Ladd jumps up to an 86 overall. That is a huge jump for him. We had to kind of struggle to sign Justin Williams. We had to sign him to a $6.5 million deal for 3 years. That's double the price of the contract of his last contract. We did have to re-sign Tuomo Ruutu. We re-signed Chad LaRose. Wade Celios, the big prospect on the team, 79 overall. We signed him to a 6-year deal worth $3 million. This is going to be an absolute steal for us in another 2, definitely 3 years. 6 years, $3 million for Wade Celios. So the game gyps me out of a franchise player, and I'll just lock this franchise player in for long term for a cheap contract. We also have our other prospect that we featured in the last episode, David Colliton, 77 overall. He's signed for 6 years at $1 million. So a 22-year-old, 88 potential center for 6 years at $1 million, and he's 77 overall already. And a rookie making the jump to the NHL this season, Jukka Peltola, 75 overall, 24 years old, 92 potential. It was between this Peltola guy and this guy in the AHL, Kelly Marita, on who was going to be our fourth line player. But Peltola has a higher potential, and he's also 2 years older, so he has a little bit less time to actually reach that potential. So we're going to see if Peltola will work out and grow for us. If he doesn't, maybe Kelly Marita will have a good year on the Albany River Rats, and maybe he'll grow, and then he can play our fourth line in the future. We have Bob Bollerice locked up, 6 years, 72 overall, 22 years old at 92 potential. But we do have a bunch of these guys down here in the AHL, around 68 to 72 overall. Their potentials are 98, 90, 97. We drafted these two guys, Manlow and Bob Gomez. So you can clearly see how our drafting turns up versus who we just have to artificially manufacture and sign in free agency to get on the team. I can't sign any AHL depth because when you go to free agency, all it calculates is your NHL roster's salary cap. And my NHL roster is at its salary cap, basically. So if we even wanted to sign one of these, like these trash guys for the AHL, just for depth, let's see. We can't. We only have $300,000 because the AHL salary cap is at its limit. So we don't even have that many guys signed in the AHL, but the ones we do have a lot of potential. And here's a look at the 2011-2012 Carolina Hurricanes, the team that really needs to get it done and get us back in the playoffs, or Gert Gerdington's job is really in the hot seat after just one of the worst trades in GM franchise Dynasty Mode history, trading Andre Mazzaros, a 25-year-old, 90 overall Andre Mazzaros, to the Toronto Maple Leafs for the first overall pick, to then take just an absolute plug. This team really needs to get it done for me. Justin Williams with Eric Staal, Jordan Staal on the first line this season. I'm hoping that maybe this can help us compete with the other teams in the league that also have 290 overalls on their first line. So Justin Williams with Eric Staal and Jordan Staal. The second line is going to be Andrew Ladd, a big jump up to 86, with Tuomo Ruutu down the center, with Wade Celios on the right wing. And he's going to be playing the second line right wing position all season. Our third line, we have David Colliton down the middle with Justin Keller and Chad LaRose on the wings. Joseph Vasicek makes his return as a full-time starter on the fourth line, with Sergei Erdashev, the defensive fourth liner, 97 durability, 85 defensive awareness. You just need one of these guys on your team that can kill penalties and just be there for all 82 games grinding for you. And also Jukka Peltola, the 24-year-old with high potential. I'm hoping to give him some playing time and have him grow on this fourth line. On defense, I'm not even sure how much the defense simulation does for you, because we had a really solid defensive core last season and we were trash. So I don't even know how much the defense actually affects the simulation. But we got Keith Ballard, Matt Lassoff, James Wisniewski, Tim Gleason, and then we have our two prospects, Flaherty and Zinoviev, on the third pairing. And then, of course, you have Cam Ward backing it all up in net at 90 overall. So I really need this team to be able to perform for me. I've made some horrible trades. I gave away Dustin Penner for nothing. I gave away Andre Mazzaros for nothing. I haven't been able to sign some of the guys that I've wanted to sign. We need to have a successful season or my job is looking grim. So yeah, I'm not even sure what this episode is going to turn out like. Like I said, I lost so much footage. I lost over an hour of footage of the whole re-signing phase and the free agency period and all that. We got to see the draft. We got to see the trade for the first overall pick. We got to see what we took for the first overall pick. They got Gert Girdington out here looking like an absolute goofball. And you got to think that all eyes are going to be on him this season. If the Hurricanes have another failure of a season, that might be it for Gert Girdington. How can you recover from trading away franchise chip pieces for nothing? So here's a look at the young defensive prospect Kirk Flaherty. And go figure, he's got a scar underneath his left eye. What are they? I feel like whenever you get on the Albany River Rats, the coach just takes a knife and cuts you right there underneath your eye just to make you look intimidating to other teams. Number 35, big right-handed defenseman Kirk Flaherty. But you can really see the youth movement here on the team. We got David Colleton, Kirk Flaherty, Erdashev, Keller, Andrew. We grew Andrew Ladd up to the 86 that he is now. Lassoff is only 24 years old. Peltola is a young guy. And here is a quick look at Jukka Peltola. He actually looks like he got a scanned-in face. Like, he looks like a real guy. Looks like a real face. So there is Hurricanes forward prospect Jukka Peltola. And the last prospect we're going to look at, Zinoviev, making his debut as a full-time starter in the NHL. And go figure, he's got a scar under his left eye. What do the Albany River Rats do to people's left cheekbones? So like I said, you can really see the youth movement starting to come through for us. Wade Celios is now on the second line permanently. David Colleton is a third liner now. And Jukka Peltola making the jump up to the NHL. On defense, you got these two new prospects on the NHL. We've seen what we've got in Albany. We've got a lot of this Kelly Morita, 86 potential, 22 years old. Bob Bollerice, he's 22 years old with 92 potential. This Horkoff guy, 72 overall, 20 years old, 98 potential. We've got some guys down here who could be growing for us. You know, some of these guys are young and already in the 70s overall. Dakiv, 73 overall. He's 23 now, but 73 overall, 93 potential. You never know. He might get a big jump. Telkvist, 22 years old, 72 overall, 92 potential. So the youth is there in Albany, and the youth is there actually on the Hurricanes. It would be really unfortunate if Gert Girdington got fired, because he has done a lot to try to set up this team for success in the future. But will he be around to see how it plays out? Or will the Hurricanes have another failure of a year in the 2011-2012 season? Will Gert's job be on the chopping block?